Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF, where you can count on the trusted performance of Allevo seed treatment to protect your soybean crop. Thanks to all the farmers, industry personnel, and others who came out to the Ohio Soybean Association's golf outing yesterday. Great weather, great time, and congratulations to those who had the best scores. We may have had the best fun, though. With an injection of government payments and strong livestock prices, USDA reported net farm income is projected to increase in 2025. USDA's Economic Research Service released an updated look at farm income and finances on Wednesday. Considered a broad measure of profits, net farm income is forecast at $179.5 billion for 2025, up $52 billion, or 40.7% higher than in 2024. If the net farm income holds, it would be the second highest recorded, following $197.7 billion in 2022. Yet, the good news for the overall agriculture economy masks some of the challenges in the sector, especially for crop producers. USDA also projects a typical farm household will lose money on its farm operation in 2025. The top driver for higher net farm income would be direct government payments, which are projected at $40.5 billion in 2025, a $30.4 billion increase from 2024. Government payments are the highest since 2020, the height of the pandemic. Congress last year provided farmers with $10 billion in economic aid as USDA's Emergency Commodity Assistance Program. So far, USDA has paid out $8 billion in the ECAP payments to 559,585 producers, according to USDA's website. Along with that, Congress provided nearly $22 billion for natural disaster losses in 23-24, which became the Supplemental Disaster Relief Program. So far, about $4.76 billion has been paid to nearly 329,500 farms. Payment for the conservation programs also rose to $4.8 billion. That's up 10.3% from a year ago, with higher payments for Natural Resource Conservation Service programs. Still, the traditional Farm Bill commodity programs were a small slice. Income overall at $550.4 million in 2025, relatively unchanged from last year. Also, livestock forecasting remains strong. Farm cash receipts for livestock producers are forecast to increase $30 billion in 2025. That's 11.2% higher than last year, topping the $298.6 billion for cattle, eggs, hogs, broilers, and turkeys. Cash receipts for cattle and calves are expected to increase by 15.7%. Hog receipts are forecast to increase 9.5%, and cash receipts for eggs are expected to be up 35.4%, the highest of any sector. Broiler income up 3.5%. The dairy industry down 1% compared to a year ago. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Moisture working through the Buckeye State as we move through the day today. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that forecast update. Frontal boundary rolled into northwest Ohio late yesterday and overnight, trying to clear through east and southeastern parts of the state this morning through midday. I do think we see some lingering shower action near the Ohio River all the way closer to sunset. The rest of the state here this afternoon, we'll see clouds give way to sunshine. It is cooler. Yesterday across the front, we went from the low to mid-80s to the mid-60s in the afternoon. This is going to be bringing 60-degree temperature readings in through the rest of today and I think the rest of the week and weekend. Secondary batch of moisture moves through the Great Lakes for tomorrow on Friday. It does not impact Ohio. I do think we see a little bit of moisture coming into Ohio as the system exits the Missouri Valley and moves through the Ohio Valley overnight Friday night into Saturday. That's going to bring rain and thunderstorms to areas south of I-70, anywhere from a tenth to maybe 3/4 of an inch again. The best rain's going near the Ohio River and Those Ohio River rains don't end until late Saturday. Everybody is partly to mostly sunny and dry for Sunday. Most of the state also Saturday. And then we get into next week, Monday through Friday. Beautiful dry weather, a little bit cool. The coldest air settles in here early Monday morning as high pressure sets up right near the Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio lines. That confluence, high pressure sits right there. That's where the coldest air mass will be. 40s are likely over Ohio as we start the week, and then we moderate temperatures from there. But as we said, should be dry all week long. That's a look at your forecast update. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Let's check in with the weekly update from the Ohio Soybean Council and her checkoff dollars at work. Here's Dusty Sonnenberg.
I'm joined today by Dr. Laura Lindsay. Laura's the OSU Extension soybean and small grain specialist. Laura, as growers go out and hopefully are walking their fields a little bit, those later planted fields, or even double crop beans, because I know there were quite a few farmers that were able to do some double cropping this summer with the weather setup that we had. Any particular concerns as we look at those and what the fall might bring?
Insects are one to look at: stink bugs, bean leaf beetle. Bean leaf beetle can feed on the leaves and also the pods, so those are good places to pay attention to. Harvest date is really important too. Last year we had some issues with harvest associated with the hurricane that came through, so making sure you harvest timely if at all possible. Sometimes things happen and you can't harvest timely, but trying to prioritize timely harvest in the fall is very important as well.
Well, most fields that I've walked with our crop tour, as well as some reports I've heard, have said beans really look clean. What have you guys seen through the Battle of the Belt project?
We've seen the same in our Battle for the Belt. We're in Wood County, Wayne County, and Clark County, and I have students there once a week, and they do all kinds of scouting. And on the soybean side, there's been really no significant or even insignificant diseases. It's been extremely clean this year at all three locations. And with Battle for the Belt, we don't spray fungicide, so they've had no fungicide application, and they've remained clean this year.
Great information. Again, our guest today, Dr. Laura Lindsay, OSU Extension soybean and small grain specialist. Laura, thanks so much for your time and the update today.
Yep, thank you.
And today's update brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and your soybean checkoff.
And thanks, Dusty. Back with more after this.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your fingertips. Join our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed builders choose Purple Wave. Transparent processes, real deals. Your next great purchase awaits. purplewave.com.
Get ready for the 63rd Annual Farm Science Review, September 16th through the 18th near London, Ohio. Explore hundreds of exhibits, field demonstrations, and educational sessions. Get pre-sale discounted tickets at participating OSU Extension offices, agribusinesses, or online at fsr.osu.edu. Plan your trip with the digital directory and mobile app, and follow Farm Science Review on social media. Don't miss the 63rd Farm Science Review, September 16th through the 18th.
Historically, high cattle prices are supported by the continuation of a small supply, which has made the overall markets of all cattle higher in 2025 than they were in 2024. That according to Oklahoma State University Extension livestock marketing specialist Daryl Peel. Cattle prices are at record highs in the U.S. due to the smallest cow herd since 1961. Feeder cattle, stocker cattle, fed cattle prices have all exceeded the high of the past year, Peel said. The last time we saw these types of highs was 2014. The 2014 price highs were driven by drought liquidation, but unlike then, when the herd was rebuilt quite quickly, the herd isn't seeing an increase. Despite all the decrease in supply, the U.S. has seen very little decrease in total beef production. Contributing to that steadiness in beef supply is the trend of dairy producers using sexed male beef semen on their cows to send beef-type cattle to feedlots. Another contributor is feeding cattle to heavier weights. Consumers are still demanding beef, and box beef values continue to be strong, Peel added. There also has been a decrease in beef cattle export numbers since the record high in 2023. Some of this is because of lower number, and some of it is because of higher prices or tariffs. Lower feeder cattle inventory is also seen this year due to the closed border to Mexican cattle because of New World screwworm in Mexico. Typically 1.1 to 1.2 million head of feeder cattle come across the border to be fed out in U.S. feedlots. This year, a reduction of about 800,000 head will be seen. Also, he said he isn't sure that peaks in prices have been seen yet and does expect high prices to continue into at least 2027. If growth does occur, then some price pressure could be seen by the end of the decade. Demand continues to be robust for beef, but the volatility potential is high. Producers need to use risk management to protect their investments, Peel concluded. We'll look at the markets after this.
Are you involved in Ohio agriculture and do not get Ohio's Country Journal in your mailbox? You're kidding, right? Hey, it's Ty Higgins. It's free to subscribe to OCJ, but the information you'll get about current crop conditions, market analysis, new innovations in technology, policy, and more is invaluable. Subscribe or renew your subscription by September 20th, and you could win a $250 Visa gift card. Visit ocj.com/renew to get Ohio's Country Journal and read what you've been missing.
Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company, excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. For marketing information for your beans to LDC, call 574-566-2113. With our market analysis, here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets working lower again on Wednesday. As we take a look back, we were hoping to start the day with some turnaround Tuesday action. Honestly, we did see the bean market move nicely in the overnight, but there was nothing that could be sustained through the day. Soybeans sunk on China's avoidance of U.S. soybeans. There are some harvest areas starting out there, and basically we saw a lot of chart pressure yesterday as well. Overall, the market is now voting that China is not going to be coming in to purchase U.S. soybeans, and that is more important than below normal eastern Midwest rainfall and a further drop in U.S. corn and soybean yield potential. But before we get too concerned about loss of yield potential, look, the market may be discounting it because surveys are out there and being done. Allendale released the results of their yield survey. 187.5, I think, something. 5.8, 5.2, somewhere like that. On the soybean side, 53.28. All right, yes, those are under USDA's current numbers, but they're not very far under USDA's numbers. So how can we be looking at a major problem here if the own surveys that companies are making are saying maybe not so much? Corn and wheat followed soybean futures lower amid the potential for a record large U.S. feed grain harvest. The Board of Trade grains have a heavy and bearish feel amid slowing U.S. export demand and the looming large corn crop and wheat crop overall. The U.S. has already lost anywhere from 9 to 11 million metric tons. That's at least 400 million bushels. If a U.S.-China trade deal is worked out in the next 30 days, maybe we can get, well, we won't get any of that back that we lost, but maybe we stem the bleeding. But if the trade deal is pushed back to late October or November, the U.S. will have lost far larger totals, and China and other world importers will be seeking cheaper Brazilian beans beyond late January. That's when their new crop harvest comes in. We've got a heck of a mess coming here on the big supply and no demand, and it doesn't look like it's easing anytime soon. That's what the latest market moves have been telegraphing. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight at the open, September corn down a penny and 1/4 at $3.96.5. December down 1/2 cent at $4.17.5. And March down 1/2 at $4.35.5. November beans down 1/2 at $10.31. May down 1/4 cent at $10.78 3/4. December wheat down 3/4 at $5.21 1/4 cent. March down a penny at $5.37 1/4 cent. In livestock, October cattle down $1.20 yesterday at $238.32. December down 90 cents at $240.25. The October lean hogs were down $1.72 at $93.82. December down $1.05 at $87.12. The October feeder cattle down $2.20 at $361.50. November down $2.40 at $361.07. We jump clear out to January. We're down $2.27 at $356.42. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dale Minyo. This is the Ohio AgNet.